we're going to play detective and use an ancient text, the Mandukya Upanishad, to solve a very real, very modern case of mistaken identity. Your identity.
I mean, think about it. We go through our days pretty convinced that we're in the driver's seat, right? We think we're making every little decision, feeling every emotion, doing every action. But what if that feeling, that deep-seated sense of being the star of your own show, what if it's all just a massive case of mistaken identity?
On one side, you've got that constant voice in your head, right? That little narrator that says, I am doing this, I am feeling this. But on the other side, there's this wild, ancient idea that says a universal consciousness, something called Brahman, is the real cause of everything, and our actual job is simply to be the witness. So this core misunderstanding, this whole mix-up of who we really are, it actually has a name in this philosophy, adhyasa. This is the key to the entire case. So let's break down exactly what it means.
Now, don't worry, this isn't some super complicated philosophical knot you have to untangle. Adhyasa is the simple, everyday assumption that the voice in your head saying, I am loving this cup of coffee, is the whole story. But the Upanishad argues that this statement isn't just a little bit off. It's the very first clue in a mystery we have to solve.
Okay, our investigation is officially underway. And our first clue? Well, we're going to find it in the most familiar place of all, our regular old waking life.
This is life as we know it, 99% of the time. Seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, smelling. It all feels so solid, so real, so undeniable. And in this state, we feel like we are the absolute center of the universe, the main character.
And here's the first big twist. While our brain is saying, I am eating this apple, this text proposes a totally different reality. It says a universal force, in this case called Vishva, is what's actually causing that experience to happen. We're not the doer of the action, we're the witness experiencing it through our body and mind.
And this quote just brilliantly illustrates the whole idea. See, we spend our lives identifying with the pot, our body, our job, our feelings, all of which are temporary and always changing. But this perspective says our true nature is the eternal, unchanging clay that all the pots are made from. Okay, time for our second clue. For this one, we have to journey inward, to a place where the physical world totally disappears, but that powerful sense of I is still there, clear as day, the dream state. Think about it. In your dreams, your physical body is completely checked out. It's just lying in bed, and yet you are still there. You have this vivid sense of self, a feeling of being an actor in a story that feels 100% real while it's happening. And this, right here, points out a huge flaw in our whole I am the doer theory. I mean, be honest. If you were really in control of your mind, would you ever choose to have a nightmare? Who would dream of being chased, or falling, or showing up for a final exam you didn't study for? The fact that we have zero control in our dreams points to a different actor pulling the strings. Now for the third and maybe the most profound clue in our entire investigation. This one lies in the darkness, in a state we almost completely ignore. Deep, dreamless sleep. Just pause and think about this for a second. In deep sleep, there's no body, no mind, no world, no thoughts. It is a total blackout. And yet, when you wake up, you have this direct knowledge that you still existed. You say, wow, I slept so well. And this is absolutely critical. You don't make a conscious choice to just shut down your brain and enter deep sleep. Something else, a universal cause called prajna in this text, temporarily withdraws consciousness from the mind and body, letting you rest in your true, unadorned nature. This direct experience is really the smoking gun of the whole investigation. It's the proof, from your own life, that your fundamental existence is completely independent of both your physical body and all the thoughts that run through your head. Okay, so let's review the evidence. We've seen that we can't be just the waking body, because we exist without it in dreams. And we can't be just the dreaming mind, because we exist without that in deep sleep. So the ultimate question is still on the table. So after peeling away all these layers of mistaken identity, we can finally turn our attention to the one thing that was present through it all, the witness. So let's put the two main suspects side by side. On one hand, you have the witness inside you, the Atma, that's present in waking, dream, and deep sleep. And on the other hand, you have the universal cause we've been tracking, Brahman. And when you look at their attributes, wow, they're identical. They aren't two separate things. They're just two different names for the exact same unchanging reality. And this leads us to the great proclamation. the final verdict of the Upanishads. Tat tvam asi. You are that. The individual consciousness, the real you, isn't some tiny little piece of the universal consciousness. It is the universal consciousness.
And here's just a beautiful way to think about that shift in perspective. We spend all our time analyzing our personal experience, staring at the bird's reflection in the mirror. But to find the truth of who we are, we have to stop focusing on the reflection and instead look for the source of it all, the real bird.
So the case is cracked. But so what? What does this mean for our day-to-day life? Does the world just poof, disappear in a cloud of smoke? Not at all. The shift is actually way more subtle and way more profound.
See, we tend to experience these three states as completely separate things, right? They're all different versions of me. They feel solid and distinct, kind of like different icebergs floating around in the sea. The big realization isn't about destroying the icebergs of your experience. It's about understanding that their true substance, what they're really made of, is the ocean itself. You are not the temporary frozen iceberg. You are the entire boundless ocean.
You know, this shift in identity, from seeing yourself as the temporary form to the eternal substance, it doesn't just make life's problems go away. The pot might still get chipped or broken, but you now know that your true nature is the changeless clay. And according to this ancient wisdom, that simple understanding, well, that's the ultimate freedom.